Cronin Toyota and Cronin Nissan are honored to partner with Proudly We Served, as well as the continued support of our local active and retired military veterans across eastern Indiana.
I'm Al Bledsoe, Veteran of Foreign War, Post 1108, and we're here today with a couple of people from Dayton and also Butch Marcum, our local Stakeholders chairman. So if we could go around the room and introduce everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us, by the way.
Thank you.
Yvonne Rhinehart, and I work at the Dayton VA Medical Center. I've been there about 30 years, and I work in community and public relations.
I'm Teresa Murphy. I've worked at the Dayton VA Medical Center for about 7 years, and I am the outreach coordinator for the hospital.
I'm Butch Marcum. I'm a local guy. I'm the chairman of the Stakeholders Committee here in Richmond, and very involved in Veterans Affairs for quite a few years now.
Okay, so before we get started, we've got a little commercial here with the U.S. Army Field Band and Soldiers Chorus. That'll be at Richmond Civic Theater, March the 11th, 7 o'clock. It's called This Will Defend You at 7 o'clock Wednesday, March the 11th at Civic Hall, and there's no charge for admission. And that's our commercial for the day.
Nice.
Okay, so let's just get started first with our outreach person from Dayton. Let's tell us about Dayton's outreach and tell us just a little bit of what your day's like.
So what we do is we go to lots of local festivals, events. A lot of times churches will invite us. Sometimes we go to the VSC members, their committee meetings, and we just attend to help assist with their outreach, as well as we just try to go to as many events as we can in the local areas, so that way we're there if a veteran has questions about health care or eligibility, things like that. We just want to make sure that the veterans know that they're heard, and be there if they want to sign up for health care with the VA.
Good idea, and that's a real good outreach for veterans in this community, especially if they don't know what their benefits are. They can come to some of these local things that are going on, and they can get signed up. A lot of these people, like she would know if they're eligible really or not. So let's go to Yvonne now, our main person out of Dayton, and we've known each other now a couple of years with Stakeholders, so it's your pitch.
Okay. Well, I'm very proud to work at the Dayton VA Medical Center. My father was a Vietnam veteran, combat Army. He's deceased now. My husband is 22 years retired combat Army, service-connected veteran. My son's in the Air Force. My brother was in the Marines. I never signed up because I couldn't do the thing with the hair.
I get that.
But I just thought I would support it in other ways.
Sure.
So I went into the Dayton VA, immediately became a patient advocate. I really enjoyed assisting those who couldn't navigate the system, because it's a huge system. You know, the VA healthcare system is huge. So I personally found fulfillment and satisfaction from that for about 15 years or so. And then I wanted to switch from putting out the individual fires to kind of looking at things as a whole, looking at, processes, what things do veterans like, what things don't they like, and from that stemmed an Office of Veteran Experience. So that's where sometimes you'll get a survey in the mail that says, hey, give us some feedback on your care, tell us what you like, what you don't like. You might get a phone call, a random email that says it's from the Dayton VA asking about recent services, and that's how we gauge. There's a certain amount of money that you get to be able to run a business, to run a corporation like that. So we need to know what you like, so we know what to keep the money in that direction, and what you don't like so much, so we don't have to focus on that as much. The other reason that outreach is so very important that we found, since I've been at the Dayton VA for so long, I saw the community and public relations used to be public relations, and it was just reactive. It was, if something came up and there was a question, then we would answer it. We didn't get out and we didn't market ourselves. We didn't get out and let everybody know that we're here. We kind of put it on the military so that when they were discharged, they were given, as you know, when you come out, you get all this information during a briefing, and they tell you can go to the VA Medical Center and sign up for health care benefits. If you're eligible, then you can receive free health care and, really, really good health care. But they weren't listening, they weren't hearing it, they're too excited to get home. So we just kind of looked at a different direction. We want to find ways to get out in the community. We want to take the information, to the veterans. Even if we can't get the information directly to a veteran, everybody's got a family member or a coworker, a church member, neighbor that knows somebody that's a veteran, and we're just asking the community to help.
I think that when we started Stakeholders, and I'm going to let Butch speak to that just a little bit about the Stakeholders. Butch is chairman of Stakeholders, and he's kind of one of the go-to guys here in Wayne County, other than our service officer. You can go to Butch with some of these problems, and he's going to take them on to Dayton. So Butch, give us a little bit of what you're doing and how it works.
Kind of within the last, say maybe 5 or 6 years, 10 years maybe, the VA is finally starting to listen to the patients rather than, this holy grail of the doctors.
Sure.
So now if somebody has concerns, they can approach us and we bring it straight to the people that need to hear about it. But also works the other way. Any information come down, we make sure we pass it out through the community. About anything you can think of, we will try to find an answer, through these people here or any other person we happen to know of.
Sure.
And when we hear something coming down that's going to change, we try to pass out through the whole veterans community as quick as we can. We contact the Legion, the VPA, Marine Corps League. We contact them all, make sure they have the same information we do. Basically, that's what I do. I'm kind of like you said, the go-to person. A lot of times, if the VA needs something, they contact us. By us, I mean the VFW in my particular position here. We do a lot of what the VA does, but without the red tape. We can jump around. We don't have to jump through hoops like they do. So, as far as helping somebody out quickly.
Yeah.
But long term, first thing we do is get you enrolled. Try to tell them all the benefits, because there are quite a few benefits to being in there. They have some of the best health care I've ever seen. Unfortunately, my health's not the best anymore, so I have a lot of experience.
Sure.
And the best help I get is usually at the VA. They take time, they explain it to you, so it's something I understand, rather than 42-letter long words. They explain to you like, you got a bad ticker. I can understand that.
Yeah.
But basically, that's what I do.
Well, I think it's good that we have people like this that represent us, and we got, for the first time, and I've been around the veteran community pretty strong for the last 10 years. I mean, I've always kind of been around it, but not really as, if you will, involved in it. And certainly, I think I've always said the biggest thing about getting it is getting personal with it, because everybody likes that personal contact. Everybody likes to know that they can call Butch, they can call you, certainly, and get things done. I think that's what veterans like. They like to be able to call somebody and, I know that person. So I think that's a good idea. Tell us a little bit more about this outreach business, about what are we really doing to penetrate the veteran community, and how can we help veterans get signed up? We need membership at the Dayton VA, I think. And it's only in their best interest to
And the
sign up.
C-Box. We really need a focus on the C-Box.
Yeah, we need guys coming. So speak to that just a little bit, if you would.
So when we go to the different events, we don't try to go to just every event that's in your local area. We try to do research and see what places have the most veterans with those counties and catchment areas that they aren't utilizing the services that they're eligible for. And usually once we have it kind of pinpointed down to which counties that we want to focus on, we try to find events in those counties, and that's where we focus on trying to attend, so that way we know that there's veterans there that do need us just as much as we need them. So once we're there at those events, that's our job. We have a sign on our table says, "Are you a veteran?" Or "Have you ever served in the military?" That usually brings people up to our table, and from there we just kind of start a conversation. "Hey, what's your story? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, did you know that something along the lines of with hearing," or you find different things that might be able to be like, "Hey, you could possibly get free health care for that," from both the VA side and the VBA side, which is the Benefits Administration, which is the service connection, which goes through the counties. So we kind of work hand in hand with them, so that way they can also get their service connections and be seen at the VA for their health care.
Is there a way to screen veterans when they get out? Let's take an example of a young man just gets out December, and all of a sudden, is there any contact the VA makes with that individual?
Well,
or do you just leave it up to them?
Well, we try. They do. It depends on which branch that they're coming out of. A lot of them do the TAPS course, which is a transition assistance program. I think that's what it stands for. I'm not 100% sure, but I know it's called TAPS. But they go through this program that's supposed to talk with them about the VA and possible benefits that they could get through the VA. But there's also the Yellow Ribbon program, which is for different units when they come back from deployment. And our outreach is normally contacted from these units to come and see these veterans at their coming home ceremonies. And we set up a table and we're there, and usually instead of one of those, it's a voluntary thing, a lot of times the units say you have to go to each table, and they try to make it not mandatory, but mandatory to assist the veteran, and they tell the soldier or airman or whoever to come to our table, and they'll discuss with us, and we'll talk to them about possible benefits that they might be eligible for due to their recent time in service. And so that way we try to be there for them as soon as they come home, so that way there is no lag. There's no, they go 4 or 5 years without knowing that they could have possibly been eligible for healthcare benefits.
It seems like somewhere along the line we missed that. Maybe Dayton has spoke to that some in what you do. Somewhere along the line we missed that young veteran, or a lot of times, and I always use the example of a couple of guys at the dealership signed up. They didn't realize they could have health care, and yet the one guy is an Iraqi guy. He's a Marine, which explains a lot of it. But at the same time, but what I'm saying is somehow we've got to get that message out there even more.
Well,
so
I think we
tell
need
me
to
what you're doing to do that.
We need to repeat the message instead of just, saying it one time and being done. When they're coming out and they're getting debriefed, it's great to have the information there for them, but they're not retaining it. That's not what they're thinking about. They're thinking about getting back to their family and getting back to their hometown. We need to keep a focus not only directly to the veteran, but to their family, because when things calm down, once they start getting situated, they want to look for employment in the area. They can get a gentle reminder from their family, hey, don't forget, if you don't have employment yet for healthcare or whatever, you might want to go down to the VA, to the outpatient clinic, and see what they can do for you. That it doesn't have to be as soon as they get out. It's really hard to catch that catchment area. But we just need to keep giving gentle reminders. We're here for you. We're here for the families. We're here for the community. And the main thing is we want to get the care and the services to the veterans. And when I referenced earlier when I said the C-Box, the outpatient clinics, there's a big push for us to understand that originally the VAs were in central locations. So they were usually in a city-type area, a local area, so that they could get a lot of veterans to come in to see them. And then through the years, you get feedback, and that was one of the things is, hey, we're rural. We're 50 miles away from anything. So, then we began getting some funding, looking at trying to bring the services out to the rural areas, and that's how the outpatient clinics came about. Richmond Outpatient Clinic came about. We provide so many services at the outpatient clinics. Hearing checks, visual checks, mental health services, of course, obviously overall health care. If there's any service that you need and it doesn't happen to be provided at your local clinic, then it can be coordinated into the community as long as you're eligible for care. So it's just really, really important to get the word out. I will say, going back to my father, I encouraged my father to go to the Dayton VA, and one of the things that he said was, I don't want to take services from other people. Well, his mindset was incorrect. It's not taking away from anybody. If you come to the VA, the reimbursement model allows additional reimbursement for every veteran that receives care. So the more veterans that enroll and receive care, the more we can put back into the clinics and put back into the medical centers. So you're actually helping your fellow veterans,
Sure.
To take the time to get enrolled and come in and see what we can do for you.
Butch, what do you do if a veteran comes in, or a veteran, I know that you've been chairman of Stakeholders for a while, and being on that committee, I understand that pretty well. So when you take a problem to Dayton, let's say, or you're in the trenches, I call it. You're out there. I mean, seriously, you're out there where the guys are at, you might say. And I've always thought you can meet them on those grounds, and when you do that, you're going to get better results sometimes, because sometimes they're afraid to call Yvonne, they're afraid to call her, they're afraid to talk to a lady about something like that, but a guy that's out there every day. So can you speak to that just a little bit?
Like you said, I'm one of them.
Sure.
I speak their language.
Right.
I don't wear a white coat. They find me sit back in my office, a cup of coffee in my hand, and I can relate to most of them. And if they have a concern, whatever happens to be, I try to help them out right then and there.
Sure.
If I can't actually do it myself, I will try to direct them where they can be. Usually I follow up in a day or two and make sure that something is happening. If not, I'll try a different way. And it could be anywhere. Call Pete McDaniels, a veteran service officer, Wayne Township trustee, call Yvonne, bring it to the CBOC at the next stakeholders meeting or at the Veterans Advisory Council. I brought stuff over there where one example is a sleep machine they couldn't get worked on. I happened to mention out there, and suddenly it got fixed. I mean, probably purely coincidence, but it looked good on me.
Yeah, sure.
I'll take credit for it.
Well, no, but that's good though. I mean, doing it like that, I think that's a good idea.
Sometimes Dayton's a long way away.
Sure.
And they kind of forget about some of these little things when we cross the borders. We have a little problem with that at times. I know the advertising, they can't come over here and advertise. So we are the
red tape.
Right, the red tape again. Like I said, we avoid it. So we do what they can't do.
Sure.
We try to put the word out. Hey, come join the VA. All these they got great doctors out there. I recommend this doctor, really cool. You'll like them. We do the blood test here now. Audiology's here. Did physical therapy. I'm hoping that'll come back again. But then they have this new program, Mission Act. I think that is wonderful. A lot of you older veterans, you've dealt with choice and probably have a few bad words about it. But the new stuff is really good, and I happen to mention that some of our providers over here didn't want to deal with the VA due to this Choice Act on the payment, I guess. Now we're trying to get those people back again. It's just something we do to help with Dayton, to help the veterans. Because all the money's coming out of Dayton, they're the ones going to make the final choice.
Sure.
But it's our word that, hey man, I'd really like to come here. But let's try this new Mission Act. That works with really good people.
Well, we need your feedback, because we don't always think about how the services are being received, because we're not receiving them. At least I'm not. Now Teresa, she's a veteran, so she can. But for example, when you brought it up about some of the alternative therapies, I think it was massage therapy, and I think we talked about rolfing before. But there's a couple chiropractic care. Yeah, there's a couple things that the local community providers are not signed on under the Mission Act to receive VA payment. I think that was the biggest issue.
Right.
But you brought it to our attention, and some places that you knew of locally, we were able to turn it into our people that deal with the Mission Act, and they reached out and called them and asked them to let us know if they would think about it, and they've made a second phone call asking them.
And I've actually heard from some of the providers here that they're really liking this. That the veteran community's talking to us, or the VA is interested in us dealing with us again, and things have changed. And I've had them call me. What do you think about this Mission Act? And I thought it was great. Everything I've done has just been perfect. Outside the one physical therapy, they wanted to send me to Beaver Creek, told me that was nice and close. They don't look at my map. But anyway, that's what started this whole conversation.
Sure.
Because I didn't want to go an hour over there, an hour back, an hour, that's half my day. I'm old, I don't stay awake that long. But anyway.
The VA, though, at the same time, because just kind of looking back at it just a little bit, you guys have really been more proactive than, say, 10 years ago. I mean, it's the one way you can understand is jump in the middle of it. And I think that it's kind of my opinion anyway that the Dayton VA, you certainly have jumped in the middle of it and tried to help people. And nobody, if you really help a veteran that's really got a problem or something like that, you find that you've also turned that person into a very loyal person. So anything we can do to get that outreach out there more, if we can get that into people signing up at the clinic, anything we can do to do that, I think that's important.
You brought up Stakeholder Committee. Now there's several of us that are out in the community all the time. You're one of them.
Exactly.
They can contact you, and you know who to talk to now, and that helps.
Yeah.
And you can bring whatever you hear back to the community-based outpatient clinic. I remember to let them know something is working or not working.
Right.
They don't know if they're not out there.
Well, I think when you're down out there, if you will, with the guys, and you understand some of those problems. So, because I think some guys would be a little standoffish to call you or to talk to you about something, and nothing wrong with that. It's just they're just, I don't know how to say that.
Mistrust.
Well, it's not really a mistrust. It's really, can that lady help me? You know what I mean?
Well, a comfort zone. Whether or not they feel
you're not comfortable, because a guy can talk to another guy, and they're pretty comfortable with things like that. But when it comes to calling you, that's a different story. Or that's a different story. You've got a whole different gambit of things going on with that. And so this thing with stakeholders, I don't know how that got brought into it, but boy, that's just a wonderful tool to help veterans.
That was all Yvonne.
Is that
That was
right?
all Yvonne.
Oh, I did not.
Well, back when,
I know. But
back in the day,
I didn't realize
when I was a
that.
patient advocate, my dad is very vocal.
Yeah, good idea.
Again, Vietnam combat veteran, and so when things were great, of course, he would tell me how much he loved the things that were good,
Sure.
and when things were bad, he was super vocal about it.
Sure.
Sometimes I'd hear about it down the hallway before I even saw him coming in the door, if he had a concern or a complaint. And so he started soliciting other veterans' feedback and opinions. He was retired. He spent a great deal of time talking to other veterans, and he was my biggest customer as a patient advocate. He'd bring me in these notepads.
Yeah.
Well, this person had these issues over here. This is how it looked to this person. So we started a committee, and the very first Veterans Committee, it was 4 people. One person was very, very, very tired all the time and fell asleep almost every meeting. It was kind of a joke. 2 other people only came because there were snacks. They were clear about that. We came because there were snacks provided. We're good. So through the years,
it's developed.
Through the years,
now we have
it's
pizza
grown.
parties.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things, we're doing so much more than what we used to do.
Sure.
Like you said, we're being more proactive. We're going out into the community. We're bringing people in. But the Springfield Outpatient Clinic, recently got a new building. They're recently getting ready to move. So they did a time capsule where they wanted some donations from the community to put in the time capsule. So we set up a couple tents, in the parking lot outside the old clinic, which was still running at the time, and we did a hot dog event, and we welcomed the community. Hey, come on in. Do you have anything you think might be neat to put in this time capsule to be open in 20 years? The community were leaving, going home, coming in, going, we don't know what this is. They were giving us World War I medals. They were giving us, flags.
Wow. Oh,
we have a Vietnam flag that's got blood stains on it. I mean, there's a lot of really neat stuff. I can't tell you how many people, and veterans came up and said, oh, we didn't know that there was a clinic. We're in front of it. It's right there. So we need to go to the people and get the word out.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many people, we gave away 150 hot dogs that day.
Wow.
So, and most of those were not veterans.
Wow.
So I'm sure that they took the word back, and we're going to have more people come in.
Get a name out there.
Yeah, that personal recognition and just being able to go to somebody that you know or that can make the contact. And Butch is really proactive in that area locally. I mean, he's here every day, so he hears all this nonsense. I'm going to call it nonsense for lack of a better word. So, but at the same time, he reacts to that. So I think that's really good. We're at the end of this session, and we're in the middle of taping several shows with our people from VA, and certainly Butch is welcome to the show. But we're going to sign off on this episode, and we'll see you next time with Proudly We Served. And thank you very much for watching.
Cronin Toyota and Cronin Nissan are honored to partner with Proudly We Served, as well as the continued support of our local active and retired military veterans across eastern Indiana.